I've been through just about every physically and mentally demanding course the Army has to offer, and nothing compares to what I went through today. It was its own animal. I really have no way to compare it. It was terrible. It was an attack on all my senses, all my emotions. My decision-making process was flawed. It was physically and mentally draining. There were points where I seriously felt like quitting and leaving. Like I was drowning inside my own body. So there was absolute fear, panic, terror, and I truly believed it. Yeah. So I've been in the military now for 11 years, and I've been through a lot of different schools, Ranger School, Sniper School, Ranger Indoctrination Program selection, CAG selection, Vanguard Tactical Fighting, Modern Army Combatives Level 1, 2, and 3, SOCP, a bunch of stuff I can't remember at all. But how it compares to this is there's no real comparison. While all those things were uniquely difficult in maybe, say, one or two way. So we'll talk sniper school. So mentally grueling due to all the mathematics and the time constraints, physically grueling due to just the exhaustion of moving into target, hot weather, and things like that. Mentally taxing and sitting in a long spot for a long time, but that's it. Then you go to something like Modern Army Combatives, which is a pretty good school. I was an instructor for Modern Army Combatives. They try to translate real-world combat in that, but I don't want to give away any secrets from this system, but they are missing something that TORIS definitely has, that no other system has, not even close. So they have maybe echoes of what you have, but the culmination of all those schools in one way or another was displayed today. In the amount of time that we trained, in 2 days, there is nothing that was that difficult. As difficult as what I just did in the past 2 days, significantly this one day. Yeah, there's nothing that's been as hard.
Did you capture that?
This was harder.
This was harder than combat?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got 7 total rotations overseas, 5 with the Army, once with the Department of State, and 1 as a JSOC, subject matter expert. And in all the firefights I've been in, it had similarities to this training, to this simulator, but this was more difficult.
So this was harder than combat?
Yeah. Yeah. At one point, a couple times, I even attempted to leave. I wanted it to be over. All the shock and confusion, fear. I've never had that happen all at once. There was so much panic in my mind that it was really hard to figure out what was going on to come up with a proper decision-making process. Very easy acronyms, like EKIA for enemy killed in action, WIA for wounded in action for friendly. I couldn't remember those simple acronyms. I was trying to register the information in my mind and then process it into my radio to call it up. was just blocked because, yeah, I really felt like my life was going to end. It was absolutely frightening, and I tried to mentally prepare for it by watching other guys, and there was really nothing I could do to prepare for it. Once I got in the simulator, it was absolutely horrible.
How was your performance compared to what you thought before you came to the door? Did you perform better to your own standard? Like what exactly happened out there today?
Definitely worse. Very simple protocols, calling up EKIA, KIA, WIA. I couldn't remember dust off, simple helicopter call. I couldn't remember 9 line. I made ridiculous mistakes that I haven't made since my first year in the military. And luckily, I was coached out of those mistakes. I was reminded what the right answer was. Yeah, so I had sort of an internal pain going on, trying to figure out what was going on with my body, my mind, trying to understand what was actually happening. There was an internal argument happening. But once I was able to figure out the question, I could solve the argument by really digging down deep, finding my intestinal fortitude, returning to it. And world-class athletes or long-distance athletes, whomever, they talk about hitting that wall. And I've hit that wall in many different sports, whether combat sports or just athletic sports. But this was extremely unique. That wall was almost immediate. And that wall was not just a short little wall to hop over. It was sustained. And it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. I feared it. Well, I didn't fear it before, but while it was happening, the panic, the stress, it was, I definitely felt like I was going to die. I felt like that was it. It was amazing. If somebody's already a great striker or a great wrestler or whatever, they're still going to be able to apply that here. But yeah, it doesn't take away from any of your other training. You could definitely put that in and apply it to the simulator.
Now, your own training in the past, you've got quite a bit of training. Was that there for you? Did it come out the way that you expected it to?
Surprisingly, yes. And it was something you and I talked about a little bit ago. I was really surprised that I was able to get a couple things, and I didn't even realize that I did it when it happened. But it was actually very simple techniques. I definitely didn't rise to the occasion. I depended on very basic techniques that worked for me, and then things that were reiterated during the course. Yeah, you'll get all the emotional responses of feeling like you're right about to die. You're going to be right on that edge.
And then from there, were you able to, how did it feel afterwards? When you were finished, how did it feel?
I was surprised that I was still alive. It was very, very confusing. Just looking at people, realizing that I'm okay. I made it.
Now, the idea that we were able to do that and get that experience, and that we have a 0 student injury rate,
yeah,
and that you were never really at risk,
yeah,
that for all of the stress and panic and fear and everything else that was going on, you were never in any danger.
no.
How does that jive with your experience in training in general? Does it seem like a different approach? Is it a harder approach? Like, what would you say this is?
I'd say it's a smarter approach. Having to put a risk mitigation worksheet together. Is really important for other military training because it's implied that there's going to be injuries. In this, there not being any injuries was a telltale sign of smart training rather than hard training.
Is it something you do or something you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will do it again. And would I recommend it? I would be careful who I recommend it to. This really isn't for everybody, I don't think. I think this is people that really feel like maybe they already have the answers or they don't feel anything is hard enough. The kind of super type A personality where no matter where they go, they're always going to be that top 5%, that top 1%, no matter what sport it is. Say, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, IDPA shooting, Sambo, long distance running, whatever. They're always going to be that top 1%. So it's difficult to find something in the world that challenges them in a way that would make sense. So if you already think you are that top 1%, then your challenge is against yourself. And this is where you're going to find your own challenges and your own limitations and defeat them.
How would this training be useful in your mind?
Yeah, so in multiple ways. I think one of the best team building exercises, especially for elite level, I stay away from the word operator because it's kind of overused. Assaulters, individuals, groups, teams, whatever you want, tribes. The way to build cohesion is through common struggles, through pain together, through suffering together. If they're always comfortable and they always think they're winning at everything, if they don't have to really try as hard or they just try it a little bit, then it's not really going to build that team as much as you want. When they go through absolute shit together and come out exhausted, sweaty, bleeding a little bit, that's going to build that camaraderie, knowing that you guys got through it together or you've been through the same shit. And just getting into those units is difficult enough. Once you get there, the real test begins, and they continue testing you. But there's got to be other things, other painful ways to help build that team. And I think this would be a great way.